Hi everybody, how are you doing? It's John Taylor here from What's in the Bag, a program or a business that I've created to help with the mental side of golf. If we think about the different elements that golf brings, we've got our physical body, we've got our mental state, and we've also got, how we're going to swing the club. Technically, the game's getting ridiculous now. You've got people sitting behind monitors looking at the movement of the ball. We can get caught up in where our hands are supposed to be. We can get lost a little bit in translation in terms of how we're going to be physically going out there and achieving good scores and thinking about the results that we're trying to get from that game. And remember, everything is all trial and error. We are always adjusting within golf, which means that change is inevitable and it will always happen. Golf is like life, really. We make decisions, we commit to them, and sometimes they work and sometimes that they don't. But it's how we deal with them situations and how we respond to the different things that are going on for us. So this week I'm just going to be sharing a few tips with you and give you a little bit of an insight and a knowledge in terms of how you can then go out and hopefully start playing with a little bit more freedom. Now, the stuff that I'm talking about is, some of it's very old. It's over 2,000 years old. So the Buddha type Zen thinking of the game. It's not traditional sports psychology and following theories. It is about your sense of belonging, your well-being, who you are as a person. That is fundamentally important in terms of how you're going to go out there and work on your mental strength. And one of the things that I introduce into the program with the golfers quite early on is a lot of self-reflection work. And I don't know these people that sit in front of me from day one, and they don't understand me, and that's great. But what we can do is we can build a relationship with each other where we've got that trust, where things can then just come out and be flowly speaking from whatever part that's coming from. Sometimes you hear people really coming out of their mind and getting caught up in terms of what's going on upstairs. And then you can tell when people are being authentic, a little bit more deeper from the heart, which is your sense, your general, belonging and where you're at. One of the things that I introduce is that I broke different items of the golf bag. So we've got the club, we've got a putter, we've got a ball. And the first item I'm really going to introduce you to is the club. Now imagine if you've got a golf club and you write the word club down the left hand side of your page, and you can do this. And the first letter is your character. Are you an introvert, an extrovert? What is your character? Who are you as an individual? Identity is one of the most important things about you as an individual. How you are conducting yourself around certain people, how you conduct yourself in certain different situations in your environment. Do you go really in and close up because you've trained so hard, or are you quite expressive? It's really important to understand these elements of your character, because it is the one thing that will start to look at your strengths, because it is looking at it from an identity point of view. So imagine you put a CCTV camera wherever you want, or a fly on the wall, and look at yourself from a dissociated point of view. What do you see? Who are you? Your character can be, you play golf with these guys that are quite jumpy, quite excited about what they're doing. Then you get the ones that are a little bit withdrawn. Like Jordan Spieth, when he was playing his best golf, he was very like Tiggerish. He was bouncing around, and you could always hear him over the camera, and getting a little bit of excited about what he was doing. And then you've got the really calm, methodical type golfer like your Dustin Johnson, who just keeps that same pace, and his pace of life is around, if he gets a double bogey, he still walks at the same pace. If he gets an eagle, he doesn't change pace. How do these people get to that point? Now, for the amateur golfer, it is sometimes really difficult because we're caught up in so many different elements and we're trying to do too many different things. They're already trusting in their ability. It comes down to their mental strength. The mental part of the game is fundamentally the most important part of the game. There's been research done over hundreds of years about the game of golf, and it always comes back to, are you mentally prepared? And understanding your character will be able to help you do that. The second letter is L, and that is about language, your linguistics. What kind of things are you saying to yourself and to others? I can't do that, I won't do that. Them kind of things are adding a negative response. You hear people, oh, I must, or I should be shooting under 100. Really? You can by changing words, and you will get a different response. It's important to understand and be respectful for the words that you're using, both to yourself and the things that you say outwards, because what you say will manifest into reality. Sometimes just a change of a simple word, like just really getting to grips of how you're coming across with your communication. Linguistics, language, that's the L. The next letter is U, and we're going to talk about what is useful. Are we using things that aren't useful to us anymore? Not just in golf, but in life in general. Did we used to do things a certain way that worked? And like a car tyre, when it gets fitted for the very first time and it's brand new, it starts to wear after time and it becomes unuseful to us. So thinking about how the things that you're doing that are useful to your day, you can either accept and reject things that aren't working for you anymore, take on all of the good stuff and keep that and ditch the bad, because there's an element of just understanding that we build up all of these different traits and personalities and we start doing all of these different things, but over time they burn out. And that's why it's really important to keep learning and understanding and doing new things, especially when it comes to what is useful and what's not. If you are using things in your routine but it's knocking you out of sync at the moment and doesn't feel right, change it. It becomes non-useful anymore. The useful things are that you're going to be getting some good rest, you're going to be putting some good stuff in your body, you're going to be reading about things, you're going to be communicating with other people. The useful things of going to the golf course that day, just really, when you're driving there, let go of all of the things that aren't relevant to the thing that's coming up. I remember playing golf once at Ramside, and the halfway house, bacon sandwiches, Saturday morning, everybody used to love getting to the 9th hole because they knew they could get a little bit of energy in them and have a cup of coffee. And I was on the 6th hole, short par 4, and I hit my 6-iron, down the middle, and I've got probably about 130 left. And I used to always remember exactly that spot, and if I knew that I had that, it's a 9-iron or a pitching wedge, depending on the weather. But I started thinking about the bacon sandwich on the 9th hole when I was playing that shot from that moment, and I ended up shanking it into the water. Was that relevant? Probably not. How did that come into my thought? Because I was too ahead of myself. I was demonstrating and I was using stuff that wasn't useful for me. So then I just started, after that moment, I always remember, you're not even at that point yet. You're at this marker. This is where you are. Become grounded and useful to that spot. The B, behaviours. What are behaviours? Our emotional behaviours, how we respond to things and how we, behave by the way that something hasn't worked. Do we start losing our temper? Do we get a little bit shaken up? Or do we feel a really good sense of enjoyment and belief in terms of the fact that we've hit it on the green in regulation and we've sunk that putt, and it gives you that feeling? How is your behaviour then? Everything is all linked. The way that your character is and how your behaviours are. The way the behaviour works is that we get a thought, and then it relates to our state, so our being, and then we will behave whichever emotion that we're feeling at that time. And it's really interesting that when you start to look at your emotional states, you can then start behaving differently. Response. I will talk about responding a lot, Because once you've committed and once you've done and once you've understood who your character is, you then have an element of how to then manage your emotions, which then in turn will change the behavior. You see the way that people behave around you. Do not let that affect you. Don't be the person that your behavior is affecting others, and be respectful of people that are playing the game. If somebody started playing golf for the very first time and they're new to the game, respect that that's what they're doing. Teach them. Let them get into it. Let them enjoy it. We want people to stick around for golf as well. It is little things like just understanding these that will make a huge difference to your mental game. And that is just one item, which I've took quite a number of golfers through this program already, and they're already taking probably about 2 hours just going over this stuff, really, really delving into it. And it is great, great, great practice. Self-reflection. Who are you? Your character. What is going on with your linguistics and your language, and being mindful of the words that you use, and how can you change them to make a difference? What kind of things did you used to do that was useful that's no longer needed anymore, and ditch it and implement new useful techniques or routines? Introduce different things. Change is the most phenomenal thing that happens, and we've got to get used to that thing happening. And then if we can start aligning all of them things, our behaviour will start to change. And when your behaviour starts to change, you can play with a little bit more composure. You might not be getting too excited about being frustrated about shooting under 100 or winning that club championships. Whichever the level of golf you're at, it is all relevant. Yeah, we talk about the top pros and they absolutely go to town on this mental stuff. Just do simple things. Keep it real. Play it. Put it in play. Don't get too excited. If somebody's hitting it further than you, that's fine. But you can actually start to become a little bit more and more methodical with your game. So that's John Taylor, the start of your Wellbeing, Golfing, Mindfulness tips, and a little bit of a snippet of the club. So go out there, write that down, hold it on a piece of paper, take it out with you, and then start reflecting after your round exactly what was going on. But before I leave as well, I want to give you another little bit of advice. Complaining. Every time you complain about the way that the ball is, about the wind, about the lie, about the swing, make a tiny little note on your scorecard, and you will see that over that time, if you start reducing the amount of times you're complaining, your focus will be somewhere else, which is playing the game rather than complaining about the thing that is outside of your control sometimes. Respect it, love it, enjoy it, have fun, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.